McNairy County was going down when Buford Pusser came back to town. But the no-good crowd came to meet their match when Buford Pusser pinned on the sheriff's badge. He was a 6'6" ancient cleanup crew, and he had to do what he had to do all by himself. He got on the case to make this Tennessee county a better place. Buford Pusser was a Tennessee stallion, just one man against the whole battalion. They laid him down, but his legacy still lives on with you and me. They put 8 bullets in old Buford's frame, but he kept on coming for more of the same. He was stabbed 7 times and he lost his wife. Yeah, Buford Pusser paid one terrible price. But he set an example for the town's good men, and he blazed the path that they're walking in. They'll be all right because he took his stand. Buford showed them all how to be a man. Buford Pusser was a Tennessee stallion, just one man against the whole battalion. They laid him down, but his legacy still lives on with you and me. Still lives on with you and me.
McNairy County, Tennessee Sheriff Buford Pusser was hardly believable, even as a legend. He was shot 8 times, stabbed 7, run over with a moonshiner's car, wrestled a bear, killed 2 persons, and watched his wife die in an ambush slaying. During his wife's ambush, Pusser was also seriously hurt. When he died in a fiery car crash, he had undergone 16 facial operations to restore his jaw, which was mutilated by high-powered rifle bullets. The 6'6", 250-pound Pusser became a living monument to justice during his 6-year reign as McNairy County Sheriff, casting across the nation one of the tallest shadows in the history of law enforcement. His narrow escapes from death inspired songs, countless newspaper and magazine articles, a book, The 12th of August, and 3 movies. Buford Pusser is dead, but like other folk heroes of the past, his legend lives on. W.R. Morris, a Tennessee-born writer, spent more than 2 years with Sheriff Pusser while gathering information for the 12th of August book, Pusser's only authorized biography. Morris rode with Buford on the back roads of McNairy County while the sheriff checked beer joints. He often relaxed with Buford during an evening of entertainment. The author learned both the good and the bad about Buford Pusser. After the 12th of August book was published and the Walking Tall movie was released, the writer and the legendary sheriff traveled together all over the United States attending autograph sessions. Very few persons, if any, knew Buford Pusser as well as W.R. Morris. During the album, you will hear interviews between Morris and Pusser, along with interviews with other persons connected with the legend of Buford Pusser. Here is W.R. Morris.
After being introduced to Sheriff Buford Pusser by Eddei Bond, I decided to make several trips to McNairy County to interview the colorful sheriff, and the more I learned about Pusser's activities, the more I decided the saga of his life story should be recorded in a book. I set up tape interviews so I could learn about Buford's background and at the same time have some permanent information during the writing of the book manuscript. The first taped interviews were conducted in the sheriff's office in McNairy County, Tennessee, in Selmer. Sheriff, give me some background information about your early days.
I was born the 12th month and the 12th day of 37 here in McNairy County, between Leapwood and Fanger, a little community around New Church where I was born there. And I went to school at Leapwood for 4 years, then I started school at Adamsville and finished from the 4th grade on up to 12th there at Adamsville.
The number 12 seemed to surround the life of Buford Pusser.
He was born on the numbers 12 and 12. He grew tall as he fought crime. Shot 8 times, stabbed 7 times more. Reverse the numbers and you'll find it was 7 long years and 8 days later since Buford lost his wife. It was on the 12th of August that they took Pauline's life. Let's sing about Buford Pusser. 12 letters spell his name. His fate was sealed in the number 12 that would stalk him to his fame. Take the numbers 12, 7, and 8 and the number 64. Look back at Buford's pattern and the 12 will come up more. Buford pinned on the badge in 64 when the county was a rage. He was 6'6", that makes 12, 3 times 12 was his age. 36 is mighty young for a man so tall to fall. He's the number 1 legend in our time, while he's remembered by us all. When the numbers on the wheel of life come up the same each year, we never know which number is ours, or we live our lives in fear. The hands on the clock were fixed on 12 on that fatal night in August. Buford's final number came around and he died in the Tennessee dust.
Sheriff, are your parents living?
Yes, they are. Mother and father both living.
And what is their names and where they live?
Carl Pusser, because he worked for me here at the jail, been working for me since I've been in office. And my mother lives in Animal with me since my wife's deceased, and her name is Helen Pusser.
Helen Pusser was a big help to me during the writing of the 12th of August book. Mrs. Pusser provided me with valuable information about her son's early childhood.
Well, he failed one year, and so he said if I let him go out and work on the pipeline a while, he guaranteed me he'd come back and go to school and finish, and so he did. He quit in March. He went out in Oklahoma and worked, and so he come back and finished school in the next year. But I had to help him on his grades so he could play ball. If he hadn't made that up, he couldn't have played ball. He just played basketball a year and a half. He was a good football player and he was a good basketball player, but he didn't care about any of it. But he played basketball a year and a half. He said it's worth more to work in the store than it was to play ball.
After high school, what did you do?
After finishing high school, then I went into, well, first I went to Alabama and worked on the pipeline a few months, and from there I went into the Marine Corps. So then after that I went to Chicago and worked for Union Camp Paper Corporation. I also went to mortician school. Then I started training to get in shape, and I got started out with Billy Gales and training me wrestling. Then I wrestled professionally up there then about 2 years before I moved back down here in 1961.
Buford, do you have any sisters and brothers?
I got one brother, 8 years older, and I got one sister, 4 years older. I'm the baby
Of the family. Buford Pusser was an extremely proud man. He was proud of the fact that he stood 6'6" and weighed 250 pounds and looked like a picture of health. He was embarrassed over the fact that he had been booted out of the Marine Corps due to serious bouts with asthma. Official military records state that Buford Hayes Pusser entered the Marine Corps on August 9th, 1956, and was medically discharged November 14th, 1956, because of frequent asthma attacks. Buford's account of his discharge, however, is different from that reflected by his military records. Here is Buford's account of why he was discharged.
I stayed about 7 months in the Marine Corps, and I was in on leave, and I got my back broke in a car wreck, and they discharged me. They gave me a medical discharge on the thing, and it was during peacetime, and they didn't much want to fool with me since they didn't need me, there on the thing.
Actually, the car wreck Buford talks about occurred on November 25th, 1956, near Memphis, Tennessee, 11 days after his discharge from the Marine Corps. Where did you meet your wife, Pauline?
Yeah, I met her. I met her in Chicago. She was, of course, originally from Virginia, but she was living and working in Chicago at the time I met her.
When were you and Pauline married?
December the 5th, 1959.
Living ain't been easy since you went away. I find myself missing you more with each day. You were the one I loved over every night. You love to love, and you love me right. You're not in the kitchen the way you used to be, standing stirring gently on my favorite recipe. If I ever get over you, it'll take much more than time, 'cause losing you the way I did hangs heavy on my mind. You were the one I loved over every night. You love to love, and you love me right. You love to love, and you love me right.
Helen Pusser had high regards for her daughter-in-law, Pauline.
I liked her. I thought a nice girl. I loved Pauline.
Buford, out of this marriage, one child was born, right?
Yes, it was. Dewana Eddei Pusser.
The Walk and Tall movie, which claimed that Buford had 2 children, has puzzled many persons who thought that he had 3 children. Actually, Buford had the one child, Dewana. When he married Pauline, she had 2 children by a previous marriage, a daughter named Diane and a son named Mike. Buford, how old are your stepchildren?
I have a stepdaughter. She's 19, and also a stepson. He's 14.
Buford, I read in the newspaper that at age 26, you became the youngest sheriff in Tennessee history. When were you first elected to office?
On August 1964.
And since that time, you've been re-elected twice, is that right?
Yes, sir, I have.
Buford Pusser was only 26 when his name was etched in history. The youngest man to wear a sheriff's badge in the great state of Tennessee. His name was written year after year, a living legend that lawbreakers fear. To wipe out crime, he was a cinch. He stood tall and never budged an inch. He walked tall all over McNairy County, and on his head they placed a bounty. Never once did he think twice. To do his job, he paid one terrible price. Knives and bullets left all the scars he wears from fights in state line bars. Thugs were driven from their dens of sin, Right was right and right always wins. He walked all over McNairy County, and on his head they placed a bounty. Never once did he think twice. To do his job he paid one terrible price. To do his job he paid one terrible price.
Were you very busy during your first year as sheriff of McNairy County?
Yes, sir. Well, of course, the first year I was in office, we caught 40-something steals and had 60-something arrests the first year that I was in the sheriff's office. And of course, we pretty well curbed it starting off the first year there.
I don't guess you were too popular then with the lawbreakers, were you?
That's true. They, of course, they'd been pretty well able to do what they wanted to, and of course, we come in and started policing it pretty tight and making a lot of arrests and catches, and of course, it added to their dislike to me.
Buford's father, Carl Pusser, was jailer during his son's 6-year term as McNairy County Sheriff. Opinions about Carl were not always good. Prentice Moore, a Selmer businessman, had this to say about Carl Pusser.
Well, I don't think he's much of a man. I was going to a Fox Hunt at New Delight. He's going to have a musical, but son-in-law was going to make music and wanted me to come hear him. And it was stormy that evening, and I stopped at the courthouse and went in to use the restroom. Come out, see the clouds and cars out there, and he told me not move my car. I asked him why. He said, well, I just said don't move your car. Well, I got some other boys to drive the car and started home, got out out of the corporation, and they got out to come back to town. I was going to go on home, but backed out going to the fox hunt. And he sent the city law and the county law and caught me. I hadn't got 100 yards. Carried me back to jail, cost me $50. So I've got no use for him.
In other words, you believe that Buford and Carl were just about alike?
Yes, sir. I think he listened to him too much.
Buford Pusser's popularity was very controversial, and even among law-abiding citizens, the comments varied. Ricky Brown is one of Tennessee's youngest political leaders. He is constantly in contact with teenagers and other young people, making them aware of the important role politics plays in our daily lives. Ricky was also a close friend of Buford Pusser. Ricky, how did you feel about Buford?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that, in my opinion, Sheriff Buford Pusser is one of the greatest lawmen that's ever been in the state of Tennessee, or as far as that goes, this country. He's made a powerful impact on the young people and has grown a respect from, I would say, almost every young person that he ever met, because he treated us with fair and respect. And I hope to someday run for political office, and I hope I can do as good a job as Sheriff Pusser done.
Prentice Moore, whom we talked to earlier, operates a barbecue business in McNairy County. He was well acquainted with Buford Pusser. Prentice, what is your opinion of Buford Pusser as a law enforcement man?
Well, I don't think he's a good one. He's too bossy, want to rule everything. Let it go his way or it didn't go at all. Just don't think he'd fit for sheriff. He's too high-tempered. The man drinking, he wouldn't give him a chance to beat him up any way to get him jail.
You don't think he should have been a sheriff?
Not at all. Don't think he need to be sheriff at all.
Burley Kaiser was a constable in McNairy County during Pusser's reign as sheriff. He was well acquainted with him, and they worked together on various occasions. Burley, what is your opinion of Buford Pusser?
Well, he's just same old Buford every time you've seen him, as far as I know. That's the best that I can say about him. Is, you know.
Do you think he was fair when he enforced the law?
Yes, sir, I do.
Did you ever have an occasion to be around Buford when he was making an arrest?
Well, yeah. Down at Phillips 66's place, one like to hit me down there. There's some Alabama one come to wind up. They'd stole the car. There's some colored boys. I believe it's 4 of them at the time. He took them on to jail.
When Buford put you under arrest, you were going to jail one way or another, is that right?
You was going to jail. When he come after you, you just might as well be ready.
Sheriff, have you been offered any payoffs from the hoodlums at the state line?
Yeah, when I first went into, of course, office, when I was running the state line, they called me down, which is Louise Hathcock, and wanted to give me some money on my campaign, and I told her I had about $600, didn't need any. I thought that's all it'd take to make the race on, of course. And she just kind of laughed. She didn't think I had a chance, of course, being real young running, and of course nobody knew me, of course. So I guess they wanted some security on that anyway, you know, thought maybe a chance I might be elected. And so, and after I was elected, she sent a word for me to come down by one of her henchmen, and I went down, and she said, well, she said, I want to start off giving you $300 a month, she says here. And I just laughed at her. Of course, this went on a month or two, and I hit her totally pretty good licks on liquor and stuff, and she called and wanted me to come down again. I went down and talked to her, and she wanted to give me $500 this time. And of course, then we staged a big raid and then confiscated our Cadillac car and a 62 truck with a 62 Ford truck with 68 cases of liquor on it and stuff. And she raised it on up to $1,000 a month then. So I just laughed at her. And of course, that's when we was really getting rough with her then. And that's went long after that until of course, I had to take her life then whenever she fired on me then.
Now black smoke's rising from the poplar trees. They're making moonshine liquor down in Tennessee. Look out, bootleggers, Buford sniffing around. Got a nose for whiskey like a hot bloodhound. He's a lawman. Lord, Lord, what a lawman. Now he can stare down the barrel of a 44, leave 6 men lying on a barroom floor. Buford won't back down when the going gets tough. If he comes to get you, you can pack your stuff. He's a lawman.
Gonna help you, boy, if you care about it. Don't plant your feet in McNary County. Got a man with the plan of upholding the law, standing proud and walking tall. He's a lawman. He's a lawman.
Now Towhead White's been a-coming around, told the whole darn town he's gonna gun you down. Towhead White, I'd hate to be in your shoes if Buford Pusser comes looking for you, 'cause he's a lawman. Oh, law, 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 what a lawman. They said, Buford, get out of town while you still got your life. You've been shot 7 times, now they've killed your wife. He said they laid my Pauline in the cold, cold ground. No, boy, no, I ain't leaving town. I'm a lawman.
John, help me, boy, if you care about it. Don't plant your feet in McNary County. Got a man with a plan of upholding the law, standing proud and walking tall. He's a lawman. He's a lawman.
Law, 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 he's a lawman. Yeah, he's a lawman. Law, 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 what a lawman. He's a lawman. He's a lawman.
During your reign here as McNary County Sheriff, you have been forced to kill 2 persons. Louise Hathcock, who you killed near the state line at the Shamrock Motel there, and then Charles Russell Hamilton that you killed here in Selmer. Does the fact that you had to take these 2 human lives ever haunt you?
Yes, of course. I've seen Miss Hathcock 1,000 times, I guess, since I had to take her life. And also Mr. Hamilton. I mean, you watch someone die that you know that you pulled the trigger that killed them, because even though that is line of duty and self-defense, I mean, you still can't keep from seeing them and watch them draw that last breath and then not think anything about it, I believe.
Petie Plunk was one of Buford Pusser's deputies. for 5 years. Plunk and Chief Deputy Sheriff Jim Moffitt was with Buford the day he killed Louise Hathcock at the Shamrock Motel near the Tennessee-Mississippi state line on February 1st, 1966. Petie, when Buford got the call to come to the Shamrock, what happened during the ride down there?
Well, at that time we was driving along, and I said, Buford, since we're going down there, you better put your pistol on. He didn't have his pistol on. And, well, he said it might not be a bad idea. He stopped on the side of the road out there and put his pistol on. Buckled his gun on. We went on down and walked into the officer's motel. Used the exact words that she said. What in the hell are y'all doing down here? And I tried to tell her what we was doing down there, that we were looking for this lady's purse. The lady lost her purse in the motel that night. I said, I don't know nothing about no purse. No, I said, there's no car. I said, ain't nobody stole no car. I said, Louise, we're not hunting a damn car. We're hunting a purse. I said, that's what they do. They're all the time talking like that. Jim Moffitt sitting over there on the couch. I guess he must have smiled. I wasn't looking at Jim. She said, wipe that smile off your face. And I guess Jim did, undoubtedly. She didn't slap him. But she said, Sheriff, I want to speak to you a minute. So Buford proceeded to follow her out of the office into number 1 cabin, which was her living quarters. And as he got inside of the door of the number 1 cabin, she had on a sweater with pockets in it. And she had this little snub-nosed 38 in there. And she come out with that 38 and said, I'm going to kill you. And as she wheeled with the gun, Buford seen her, and he fell across the bed, just as she fired. And then from the looks of it, she had fired at the big part of him, which was his chest. And as he went down, put his head where his chest would normally have been, and I'd say she missed his head approximately 4 inches. The bullet went out the window, into the post that holds the shed up in front of the office. And unless they put a new post there, and I doubt it, you'll see a chip chopped out of there now. It's where I took a hatchet and cut the bullet out of the post that she had fired it in. But as he went down and she fired, he come out with his .41 Magnum. He fired. The first shot, he hit her on the left side of the neck and cut a trench across her neck and shoulder. And it spun her around. And as she spun around, she still had the gun in firing position to fire again. The next shot hit her in the right breast and come out of her back. And you can stick a doorknob in her back where the bullet come out. She hit the floor, hit a chair, turned the chair over, hit the floor on her back, and she raised the gun up again. The next shot, he caught her in the left jaw, underneath her jawbone, and come out the back of her head. Carried one of her jaw teeth about 12 inches behind her head, out through her head there. She still blowed blood bubbles after her, I'd say. Of course, I was scared. Hell, I don't know, it might have been hers long, but I'd say roughly 3 or 4 minutes before she died.
Well, was Louise Hathcock drinking heavily that day?
Yes, she had a mixed drink in her hand down this house.
Well, was she drunk?
Yes, definitely drunk. Dope or something. She was bad off some way. I've never heard anybody, man or woman, talk any more vulgar than that woman talked to us that morning.
How did Buford react after killing Louise Hathcock?
When I got to Buford, when I heard the shots, I run to him with my pistol in my hand. You could tell by the looks of his eyes, of course. I don't know whether he was scared or excited or what, but I could see his eyes was red around him a little bit, you know. He told me, he says, catch the back door. So I knew there was somebody in the back room, because I had heard her talking to him, see. He told me to catch the back door and told Jim Moffitt to call the sheriff's office. And I don't know, Jim said he wasn't scared, but I was scared.
Why were you scared?
Well, knowing the reputation and the kind of characters that hung out at the place, I figured we would have to shoot our way out. And I still say, if that bunch had been there, we would have had to shoot our way out of it.
How far was the Mississippi state line from the Shamrock Motel?
Well, just an imaginary line through there. Just really one right on the other side of the other. The cafe was in Mississippi and the motel was in Tennessee.
Well, what kind of person was Louise Hathcock?
Well, I just assumed I'd compare with Al Capone. Just soon had Al Capone gunning for him as Louise Hathcock.
God gives every man in life a purpose, and He determines where you make your stand. But Buford's face to face with a woman filled with hate. Now she's got a pistol in her hand. With cold eyes fixed, they stood there in the bedroom, and when she fired, he fell across the bed. Then Louise Hathcock yelled, "Buford Pusser, go to hell." And then she aimed the pistol at his head. She ain't no ordinary woman. The devil's hand is on her side, and with her deadly 38, she wants to seal his fate. And now she's got it pointed between his eyes, between his eyes. But Buford pulled his gun and came up firing. His first shot sent her reeling across the room. But the devil lost control, so he settled for her soul when Buford's final bullet spelled her doom. An old man who had been hanging around that motel for years walked in and slouched down in the chair. He was trembling at the knees because he was scared as he could be. He looked up at Buford and he said, "Miss Hathcock's dead, ain't she?" "She ain't no ordinary woman. She ain't no ordinary woman. She ain't no ordinary